The scent of butter-drenched lobster rolls and piney sea air curled through the wharves of tiny Breakwater Point, Maine, as the annual Lobster and Lighthouse Festival opened on a sun-struck Thursday morning. Bunting in buoy-bright colours fluttered over the marina, and the whole village hummed with fiddle music, gull cries, and the muted purr of outboard engines ferrying visitors to and from moorings. Isla Warren, second-year marine biology grad student and reluctant festival volunteer, threaded through the stalls with a carrying case clutched to her chest. Inside rested Harbour Eye, the drone she used for her research on whale migration. She was scheduled to give demonstrations by the touch tank tent later, but first she wanted one clean aerial circuit of the coastline, footage for her thesis, and maybe a snippet for the festival's social media page her Aunt Marigold stubbornly treated like a second job. "Don't forget to smile if it hovers over Main Street," Aunt Marigold called from the porch of her Victorian B&B, where she was arranging scarlet geraniums. People donate more when the marine stranding folks seem cheerful. Isla promised to try, though cheer didn't come easily the week before midterm proposals were due. She slipped onto the breakwater, unfolded the drone's arms, and sent it humming into the sky. Her tablet showed the sharp mosaic of waves, docks, and lobster boats fanning outward like spokes. Minutes later, the drone's camera picked up an odd slash of dark on pale sand 2 coves north. A whale, small enough to be a juvenile pilot whale, lying half-beached in Moonstone Cove. "Not again," Isla murmured. Pilot whales seldom stranded singly, and the Regional Response Network had just refloated 2 near Bar Harbor last month. She tapped a hotkey to bookmark GPS coordinates, then phoned the state hotline. While the call routed, the video feed flickered. 2 figures in black wetsuits crouched behind the whale's dorsal fin, half hid by frothed surf. One seemed to tug a line snarled around the animal's tail. The other heaved at something boxy and grey on a low inflatable raft. Then the feed skipped as a gull swooped past the lens. By the time the frame cleared, the figures were gone and the whale writhed alone. The dispatcher promised help would arrive within the hour. Isla jogged back through crowds smelling of fry oil and kettle corn until she found Sheriff Tom Grafton leaning against a lemonade stand, chatting with festival chair Everett Lunt. "Tom, there's a live strand at Moonstone Cove," she said, still breathless. "Could be injured. I saw lines." The sheriff's mustache twitched. "I'll send Deputy Wilcox with warning lights. Get that road cleared. Everett, better make an announcement to free up volunteers." Everett tugged his lobster-red blazer straight. "On the first morning? That'll scare the tourists." "Better scared than sorry," Isla retorted, surprising herself. She hurried away before anyone could slow her with questions. By the time she reached the cove in Deputy Wilcox's cruiser, 6 locals were already forming a bucket brigade. The whale, slick and charcoal, lay in a shallow dish of tide. Aside from superficial scrapes, it seemed robust, breathing in steady wheezy huffs. Isla knelt to keep its blowhole clear of flying sand. "Oddest thing," Deputy Wilcox said, pointing at faint grooves that curved from the waterline to the whale's flank. "Looks like it was dragged." Isla traced the marks with a gloved finger, thinking of the shadowed figures on her screen. Tarred rope fibers clung to the skin. Why haul a healthy whale onto shore only to abandon it? An hour later, with volunteers pushing on the next rise, the whale shimmied into deeper surf and vanished with a tail slap that soaked everyone's boots. Cheers rose, phones recorded triumphant splashes. Sheriff Grafton clapped Isla's shoulder. "Good spot, kid. Could have turned ugly." Yet an itch of unease travelled up Isla's spine. Someone had wanted that whale ashore. For what? Back at her aunt's kitchen, she replayed the drone footage frame by frame, while Marigold kneaded blueberry pie dough. The partial glimpse of the raft froze on the tablet, a grey crate lashed tight with green cord, the kind she'd seen on lobster traps. 5 seconds later, the image pixelated, and both crate and wetsuits evaporated from view. "You're frowning more than the sheriff when the whoopie pie contest runs out of frosting," Marigold noted. Isla explained while the rolling pin thumped. Her aunt's brows lifted. If someone staged that stranding, what for? A prank? Or a distraction, Isla said. She opened a browser and scanned local headlines. Nothing obvious. No bank robbery. No fish plant fire. No missing tugboat. Only a casual mention on the festival site, a preview of Dahlia Vost's North Atlantic Jewels exhibit featuring vintage heirlooms transported under discreet security to the Breakwater Point Yacht Club. The show was slated for that afternoon, overlapping the stranding. Isla tapped the article. That's hundreds of thousands in antique gemstones coming into a tiny harbour with one part-time security guard. Marigold whistled. If I owned sparkles like that, I'd want more than Gus Peavy's pepper spray protecting them. The possibility lodged in Isla's thoughts like a barnacle. She texted Milo Hart, her college friend now freelancing for the Coastal Chronicle. Milo arrived before the pie finished baking, all elbows and camera straps. "Jewelry heist theory?" he said, sliding onto a stool. "I'm listening." Isla laid out the timeline. Drone captures whale plus suspicious crate. Whale strands, diverting half the town. Jewel exhibit slated during same window. Milo's eyes gleamed. If someone smuggled the jewelry through the harbour, the stranding's perfect misdirection, he said. Everyone with a badge was here helping you push a whale. But why the crate? Isla mused. Jewels fit in a briefcase. Milo opened his notebook. Unless they hid them in something bulkier, say inside a lobster trap, or embedded in resin made to look like fishing weights. Aunt Marigold slid plates toward them. Blueberry pie first, conspiracy later. Despite forkfuls of buttery crust, Isla's stomach churned. She decided to attend Dahlia Vost's unveiling, just in case. The yacht club ballroom gleamed with polished brass and panoramic windows framing the fleet. Dahlia, a statuesque woman with hair the colour of sea urchin spines, greeted guests beside glass cases filled with sapphire-studded brooches and ropes of pearls. Sheriff Grafton circulated with Everett Lunt, both sipping iced tea. If jewelry had vanished, nobody acted worried. Isla scanned corners for security gaps. A deck door was propped for ventilation, leading to a private float crowded by dinghies. Beneath, seawater slapped pilings in slow, secretive rhythms. She edged outside. The drone's earlier GPS pin hovered in her mind like a beacon. The staged stranding site sat roughly west of here, shielded from town by a headland. A small boat could motor from Moonstone Cove around the point to the yacht club, inattentively watched. A thud made her whirl. Red Tobin, a weathered lobsterman known for perpetual scowls, climbed onto the float hefting a bait bucket. He paused when he spotted her. "No visitors past the rail," he growled. "Sorry," Isla said, retreating. She'd never seen Red deliver bait to the yacht club before. He usually sold at the public pier. Her pulse ticked louder. That evening, she smuggled Milo and Harbour Eye onto her aunt's rooftop widow's walk. Stars flickered between low clouds as fireworks popped over the harbour. Isla piloted the drone on silent rotors far beyond the boom of pyrotechnics. Live feed bathed the screen in ghost green night vision. Near the bell buoy outside Moonstone Cove, a skiff drifted with running lights off. On its deck, two shapes bent over a crate. One shone a penlight, while the other fished bundles from inside and stuffed them into a dive bag. The taller figure's posture looked male, broad shoulders, a blazer silhouette even beneath a slicker. Everett Lunt. Milo sucked in a breath. We need a plate number. Isla zoomed, steadying against wind shear. Letters glimmered on the transom. Sweet Pea. Red Tobin's boat. They radioed the sheriff through the non-emergency line. Grafton promised to meet them at the docks, but Isla could tell from his wary tone he wanted solid evidence before crashing a popular lobsterman's boat at midnight. Let's get closer, she told Milo. She steered Harbour Eye downward. The camera caught a glint of something nestled in the dive bag, oval, iridescent, not bait fish. Breeze buffeted the drone. Salt spray dotted the lens, blurring detail. Suddenly the taller smuggler straightened, staring skyward. A flashlight beam stabbed the dark, startling Isla into yanking the joystick. The drone careened, clipped the flashlight, and spiraled into the waves with a mournful beep. "Harbour Eye!" Isla shouted, though the wind stole most of the sound. The feed went black. Milo gripped her shoulder. "We'll recover it. More important, they know someone's watching, so they'll move fast." Sheriff Grafton met them on the marina lawn beneath dim bug zappers. He listened, then rubbed his temples. A drone video that sank, two silhouettes you think you recognized, and whale footprints in the sand. It's thin, Isla. "If we don't act tonight, the jewels vanish," she insisted. "Give me until dawn to get proof." He hesitated. "Deputy Wilcox and I will patrol the outer harbour on the hour. No cowboy stuff, you two." Isla and Milo exchanged a look that suggested mild cowboy stuff might be inevitable. First, they needed tech. Milo borrowed a spare drone from the Chronicle's regional desk in Portland, bulkier, noisier, but serviceable. By 3 a.m., they launched again from the beach behind Marigold's B&B. While Milo piloted, Isla scanned the feed. Sweet Pea now bobbed at anchor beside an unlit lobster pound farther down coast. Two people offloaded boxes onto a ramp shrouded by spruce trees. Headlamps flashed. A third silhouette waited on shore, petite, hands on hips, Dahlia Vost. "That clinches it," Milo said. "The exhibit's owner herself." Isla pointed. "They're stacking crates inside the pound's shack. If the sheriff catches them mid-transfer, he'll have probable cause." But high tide already lapped the pilings. When dawn came, the criminals would sail away, crates hidden beneath legal lobster gear. Isla checked the map. "Remember the Coast Guard buoy tender scheduled for a ceremonial visit tomorrow? She's docking at 7. If someone radioed in a navigation hazard, say a wounded whale thrashing near their path, the cutter would delay, Coast Guard would scramble resources, and the harbour mouth would be blocked by patrol boats." She met Milo's eyes. "Our smugglers won't risk sailing through that." "You want to fake another stranding call?" he asked, then grinned. "Turnabout's fair play." Isla phoned Sheriff Grafton again. "Tom, I need you to trust me. Put out an alert at 6 that the whale from yesterday restranded near the channel. Announce you're closing traffic until marine mammal rescue arrives." A sigh rumbled over the line. "If this backfires, the town council will roast me like Sunday cod." "It won't," Isla promised. "We'll deliver evidence." While Milo circled the drone above the pound, Isla and Deputy Wilcox motored an aluminum skiff, instruments powered off, until they nestled behind a rock outcrop 100 yards from Sweet Pea. She donned a dry suit borrowed from the rescue trailer, clamped a waterproof flashlight between her teeth, and slipped into water cold enough to steal breath. Fluorescence from plankton glimmered around her as she breaststroked to the Lobster Pound's ramp. The tide lifted her just high enough to hook fingers over the slats. Voices drifted, Dahlia thanking Everett for safeguarding her merchandise away from prying eyes. Everett replied, "We've 1 crate left on Red's boat. Once that's ashore, we load the decoys for tomorrow's run to Canada." Isla eased onto the planks, staying low. Through the shack's cracked door, she glimpsed wooden lobster traps piled 3 high. The top traps bait well, instead of oily herring, held satin pouches glimmering with gemstones. A floorboard squeaked under her knee. Dahlia's head snapped up. "Who's there?" No time for stealth. Isla burst in, camera phone recording, and shouted, "Sheriff! Contraband located!" Everett lunged, but slipped on seaweed. Dahlia grabbed a pouch and sprinted. Red Tobin emerged from shadows, brandishing a gaff. Deputy Wilcox thundered up the ramp from the skiff, service pistol drawn. "Drop it, Red." Tobin hesitated. The gaff clattered. He raised calloused hands. Everett groaned from the floor. Dahlia froze halfway down the boardwalk as Milo landed the drone inches before her toes, its spotlight blooming white. Sheriff Grafton arrived moments later in a patrol boat flanked by Coast Guard. He took one long look at the traps filled with heirloom jewels and shook his head. "Isla, remind me to ask for your risk assessment rubric someday," he muttered while cuffing Everett. By the time sunrise painted the harbour rose gold, news crews clustered on the dock. Grafton held a press conference crediting alert citizens and modern technology for thwarting an international smuggling ring. Authorities believed Everett, Dahlia, and Red had coordinated for months. Jewels purchased duty-free overseas, shipped by yacht to Maine, hidden inside modified lobster traps, then ferried to a buyer in Nova Scotia. The staged whale stranding had cleared law enforcement from the marina, granting them 2 blissful hours to slip goods ashore. Reporters ate it up. Milo's drone footage of pouches gleaming like scattered constellations became the Chronicle's front page still. That afternoon, the whale-shaped topiary outside the festival's welcome tent sported a new ribbon. "Thank you, Isla." Visitors lined up to donate to the Marine Mammal Response Fund, and Aunt Marigold couldn't keep enough blueberry bars on the platter. Isla sipped lemonade beside the harbour rail as lobster boats paraded past decked in flags. Harbour Eye, retrieved by a diver, lay on a towel drying. Only 1 rotor needed replacement. Sheriff Grafton ambled over. "Got a question for you, Isla. How do you know the restranding alert wouldn't send the smugglers into open water sooner?" She smiled. "Smugglers love misdirection, but they're creatures of habit, same as whales following ancient routes. I gambled they'd stick to their plan, especially once they thought the Coast Guard would block the exit." The sheriff chuckled. "Well, your gamble paid off. Town council voted to fund an upgrade for your drone program. Maybe next year we'll catch crooks before they commandeer marine life." Milo joined them, waving a newspaper whose headline screamed, "Stranded whale foils jewel heist." "Ready for your close-up, hero," he teased. Isla shook her head. Let the whale take the spotlight. After all, it never asked to be part of anyone's festival or their crime. A distant spout burst beyond the breakwater, as if the pilot whale itself offered a farewell plume. The crowd gasped and applauded. Isla's heart lifted with the spray. Breakwater Point would settle back to quiet tides soon enough. But for now, beneath bunting and gull song, justice and the festival felt bright and buoyant as the summer sea.